Evening. Hello,
All right.
world. We're live.
Hello.
It's my last week as the covering host of the Thursday night chat. Ian has returned triumphant from the Lake District with a massive belt buckle as his prize
It's a
for
big
running
belt.
up mountains. Didn't know that was a thing, but then I've never run up a mountain to find out what you win. So congratulations, Ian, on your finish in the Lakeland 50 this week. If you're watching, I'm sure you are, or you might be asleep. With me this evening, I've got Dan Salisbury, our estate agent extraordinaire, covering the Shinfield Arborfield Winnersh lower early areas. If your screen's the same as mine, it's below me. We've got Mike, who covers High Wycombe, Hazelmere, Penn, and surrounding villages. And then the really difficult one is
Looks about
Ollie. Difficult in more ways than
Hi,
one, not just pointing. Ollie, as you can see in the graphic, looks after Tadley and Thatcham. And he's got a phenomenal taste in artwork as well.
I was going to say, I love that ball in the background there.
Cheers, mate. Yeah. There was a bit of a fight between me and the missus, but I won. We went for that one instead. So I like that bit.
You're brave saying that.
Oh, I know she won't be watching.
We need to get a vote on. Obviously, we're live, so feel free to comment if you're watching. A vote is what's better background randomness, Gary the Gorilla, or what's his name, Barry the Bull?
I think it's like Hamish McCoo or something like that. That's the name of the piece. Something like that.
or Mike's Ronaldo. Is that Ronaldo?
Yeah, this is my bedroom.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could only be your bedroom. Dan's is all looking a bit more mature. Dan needs to get something random for next week. That's the challenge.
That's a Liverpool one about Anfield, so probably divide opinion. So
yeah. Moving on. We've got an open forum today. It's property market Q&A. So I'm going to type it. If you have a question, please pop it in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer live. Let's get started, chaps. We've been talking off camera just before we started on the market, and Mike has said the last 3 houses you've listed have all sold with one viewing, first viewing. So, Mike, why is that? Why is that different? Is it a concern, or is it the greatest thing to happen to a estate agency since Rightmove? Controversial comment.
Well, I don't mind it. I can tell you that. It all boils down to, the price is the key point here. Price, presentation, how you market it. But yeah, despite all the news and everything that's been out there, the last 3 properties I've listed have all sold like within 24 hours, very quickly. People are in through the door and selling at asking price as well. But that goes back to what we were saying off camera. Get the right people out there at the moment. Liverpool comment.
Yeah,
he's a great guy here.
So yeah, sorry, I disturbed you there. Selling at asking price within 24 hours. The big difference I take from that is inquiry levels compared to this time last year.
Yeah, for where I am, in all 3. Well, the last house I sold was last week. I listed it on a Monday and sold it on the Tuesday. 3 people viewed it back to back, and all 3 of them offered. And it went to the best buyer at the asking price. Job done.
Dan, we've obviously talking similar scenarios. The world talking the market down. My personal opinion is there's no such thing as a bad market, just a market, and it's up to you to function in it. Today, I think you've broken an Avocado record for the most exchanges in one day.
Oh, sweet.
So it's not one that I kept, but I'm pretty confident you've taken it. Which is kind of a leading comment to what's your opinion on it, and how do you combat what is apparently, in inverted commas, something I don't believe in, a bad market?
Well, first of all, I don't believe it is a bad market. I mean, like you just said, it just is what it is, right? There's always going to be changes, whether it's like really, really hot or less so. People still want to move. I think it touched on a few things. So obviously, Mike, you were saying how you had good buyers, good offers from 3 viewings. I think that actually the collective people out there viewing homes right now are wanting to buy. They understand their mortgages. They're moving because they want to, not because they fancy it, which may have been the case in the last few years. So you've got really serious buyers. And if we do our part right, which is marketing it right, reaching that audience through the portals we use to really present it well and get the price right, you're going to be able to find those buyers. And there's no reason why you can't get really good values within a short period of time. So people are still out there wanting to move. I'm surprised as well when I see people in value homes. I've valued one today. They had a few agents out before myself, and I said, what do you know of the market? And their answer was, well, it's rubbish, isn't it? It's what we've been told, it's rubbish. And the reality is it's not, but it's so easy just to see the headlines, because there will be parts of the UK, there will be rubbish, of course, but it's not in the sort of bubble or area we're working in. So yeah, I think there's serious buyers out there, and it's about how you attack and approach them, really. It's similar to what you were saying. We've just put a property for sale, this one in Hambleton Way, we're talking about in Winnersh. We've sold 7 in that road in probably the last 12 months. So I know exactly what it's been like selling them there. This time last year, we'd got 25, 30 inquiries, and we'd have 25 viewings. Now we've had 7 inquiries. We've created 10 viewings. So it's halved, but those buyers, we'll catch up next week. I guarantee we'll get 3 or 4 offers still. So they're still there. It's just the volume's halved a bit.
And how many, if you're looking to sell your house, how many buyers, how many offers do you really need in order to sell the house? You're only selling it once. Yeah. So if you do the job right, then you only need 1 buyer for the house. Ollie, relatively recently through the door at Avocado Property. How are you finding that same comment in comparison to a previous role in a high street estate agency, and also across the different parts of the market as you step up through price ranges?
I mean, I think generally what I'm seeing at the moment is that the people that are out there viewing, they're just far more motivated. Rather than getting because there's a lot of downplay in the market, a lot of the people that are out viewing are those that really need to move or have to move. So I think that's why we're probably seeing a lot fewer inquiries on properties these days, but actually the right amount of offers and the right level of the offers is still really where it needs to be. I've sold a couple of places recently, 1-bed flat, which, was on the market with another agent for nearly 6 months. We're actually 2 other agents, for nearly 6 months. But I think with the way that we advertise our properties, using the social media element, and actually creating these videos that really show people what it is they're actually going to be walking into when they go for their viewing, again, it just sort of builds that kind of that readiness of people that when they walk through the door, then they're ready to go, bang, basically. So with that 1-bed flat in Ascot, as I mentioned, I had 3 viewings and got a full asking price offer on the day of those viewings. Have seen, with other property that I had in Crowthorne, which is around the sort of mid 500 mark, that has been a bit slower. Since come off the market due to the change in the vendor's situation. But again, the viewings there were sort of fewer between, but just generally better viewings, or I would say better quality viewings than a lot of kind of waft, which is, I'm sure, a term we're all aware of in the industry.
I won't explain what it means.
No. let's not go into that detail. But yeah, so I think coming from that sort of high street, element to what we're seeing now, is that we're seeing, again, just generally the people I see I'm dealing with, and by the sounds of it, the other guys are as well, just generally a much higher quality.
Yeah, it's fascinating that the world is talking things down media-wise, but then in the actual industry, it seems to be going from strength to strength, and in some cases, it actually makes the working environment better. Like you say, where you're just not getting the people going around, I would call them tire kicking, I don't know if we want to go around the room and say what you call it when people view 46 houses before making a decision. Thorough is a probably more positive word for it. But I agree with you. If it weeds out those who need to do it rather than would just like to do it, it makes selling much more pleasurable, easy, secure for sellers, because they know that the person who's buying their house is buying it come hell or high water.
Absolutely.
I'm in the middle of buying a house myself, and I don't care what happens. I'm buying the house because I'm buying it for the next 20 years, not for the next 20 months.
Mm-hmm.
If interest rates double, I'm still buying the house because I want to live there. And I've done my sums, I've done my maths, and I know that's where we want to be.
Really
and that's
funny
the reflection I see in house buyers at the moment.
I would say I'm selling a home for a good friend of mine, actually. And we were chatting away today at a purchase visit. It's a couple of weeks away from exchange, and we've got a big group of friends. And a load of our other friends said to him, "I wouldn't be selling and buying now," because they just see what's going on in the news. But Pete's, well, I'll say his name now, so it is Pete. He said, right for my family, it's what we want to do. It's the right time in. We're going to be there for 20 years. So we're going to see interest rises and lows in the time anyway, but we know this is what we want to do. And equally, he made a good point where he tried it last year. I just couldn't get the house he wanted. So it was going well over asking or very quickly, and he couldn't function by trying to sell his house in tandem with it. And I think this market allows home movers to have a bit more time to find the home and be able to move as well. So I think it's nicer if you're upsizing or downsizing within this market. It's much better for people.
It was almost impossible if you had a house to sell last year and the year before to be able to do anything. It's probably the reason I didn't move last year or the year before, because I want to make sure I've secured a property before I sell mine. That's my own personal point of view, because I've got a family and I don't want to mess people around. I don't want to have to pull out on the person who's buying my house. So if it gives you the opportunity to find something, secure something of your own and then sell your own, then surely it's a balanced market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that didn't happen at all, did it, last year? If you were not on market and you saw something you wanted to buy, that property was gone.
You weren't getting it all away, mate.
No, the next day. Well, the next hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was way over the top with an influx of cash buyers from overseas, cash buyers in the UK, no chain buyers just flooding in, and that stopped the traditional upsizing, downsizing moves. Paul's made the absolute comment that I'm sure we're all going to agree with. It's a bad market for poor agents, and good agents will adapt and succeed. I couldn't put it better myself. It's almost as if that's probably written in a book somewhere or on someone's wall. It is exactly what it is. It's your perception is your reality, is what I was taught. And if you think it's bad, it will be bad. If you think it's good, it will be good. We just carry on.
Yeah.
Dan, tell us about your successes today. Come on, tell us about your successes. I've already alluded to records being broken.
So it's been a crazy few weeks, to be fair. If we look at it, but yeah, today was really good. We had 3 exchanges, and particularly 2 of them were a double exchange with the houses. Total value of those 2 houses was 1.85 million. I think we technically would have sold over £2 million worth of properties today that have exchanged. So yeah, that's been a good day. And the thing is, it's more to come. That's the thing. It continues, and we keep putting them back in through that pipeline, because there are a lot of people out there still wanting to move. So I find it exciting, and do you know what's really odd? Going back to that market piece, I don't want to go back to it too much, but we were built, weren't we, for a market that was a bit more challenging, and I'm actually loving it like this because I've got time to do different things and really push it in how we want to sell stuff. I think it's much better than running around at 100 miles an hour and things just falling into your lap. I love it like this. And you get to spend a bit more time helping people find stuff. And we've actually, for that reason, got quite a few double deals in respect to we found a home for a purchaser who wants to sell with us and things like that, because we're able to sort of source some properties. So that's the key to it as well, and why you have days like we've had today.
And all round, guys, I think that's much more satisfying if you're able to take someone from one property, one home, find them a new home, sell their own, and get them moved, and do the entire thing yourself, rather than just be a small cog in a chain of events. If you can be the person who actually moves somebody, not just sells their house or sells them a house.
Yeah. And there's people out there. We're working on a triple deal right now, so and it's all in Shinfield Meadows because people want to stay there, and we're chatting to people, and you can sort of make the magic happen. So it's cool.
Be a few removal companies on your back who want to move 3 houses in Shinfield on the same day.
I do think Avocado
removal man.
It's got to be on its way, right?
Who doesn't like to pay for petrol? That's right up your street, 100%. One from LinkedIn. This is exactly what we're talking about, Luke. If you didn't join us right at the beginning of the market, we've got a firm belief here that within the home counties, there is still no bad market, no such thing as a bad market. We're enjoying this market more than we enjoyed it last year or the year before, because it gives us the ability to act and show our clients exactly what we can do, and show more value in helping them find properties and do the entire moving process, rather than just take 60 phone calls in a day about one property and sell it to the highest possible bidder. It's become a market that, as Dan absolutely hit the nail on the head, we were built for this. It's exactly what we do. We can care for those low volume of clients in a way that if you joined the industry in the last 3 years, you will not have seen before. So it's so exciting, and the feedback that we're getting is amazing at the moment. So
I think,
go, Mike. Sorry.
I think that's part of it, because we've all got experience, like not just 1 or 2 years. We've all got a lot of experience behind us. And I think when it's your own individual business, as it is with all of us, it's that care. So when I go and see somebody who wants to sell their house, I don't want to overprice it. I want to give them the right advice. I don't just want to list it so my manager doesn't give me a drubbing, earn your chair, or whatever they used to say. We all wearing suits. And you get the price right, it sells. Give them the right advice, it sells. If you overlist it, if you overprice it just to get the listing, forget it. Like the one I'm going to one after this, which is, I hope he's not watching, but I've done my sort of research and looked at all these chalet bungalows. He's £100,000 too much money.
It's insane.
Yeah, I know.
I hope he is watching. It's the truth. It's the truth that people need to hear, and it might hurt at the time, but you'll help in the long run. There's another part of the market that, Ollie, you've got obviously a lot of lettings experience.
That's right.
That you're really, really keen to discuss with people, and a reason why a lot of your listings and valuations are taking place. What's that about?
So what I'm finding a lot, again, I'm having a lot of conversations with landlords who want to get out of the game. And generally, whenever a landlord approaches me, say I've got a rental property, I want to sell it. The first question I generally ask is why. There's a small percentage of people who are knocking on late 60s, early 70s, want to take their money out of it, and you know what? That's absolutely fair enough. That's kind of the whole idea of the investment in the first place. But there's been a string of people I've spoken to recently where they've got a pretty decent house in a decent location, but they want to get rid of it because the investment isn't working for them anymore. So start to ask the sort of basic questions of well, what rent are you achieving at the moment? And probably in about 95% of those cases, they've said, oh, I'm getting X amount of rent, which is a good few £100 less. In one case, it was like £400 less than the market would dictate for that property in that style, location, etc. So I kind of say to them, well, with due respect, you're renting your property really cheaply to your tenants. Have you not considered about increasing the rent and actually trying to make the investment work for you? Get it back on track. And you know, a lot of people have sort of said, oh, well, you know, we've never put the rent up for the tenants because they've been such good tenants. You know, we've not wanted to rock the boat, and so on and so forth. And they've left it so long that when it actually comes to, you know, increasing or getting that market rate, you know, the gap's just too big. So if they go to their tenants saying, you know, in that one case, you know, I need an extra 400 quid, you know, that's going to be a very awkward conversation, rather than, as generally speaking, the market moves by 50 to 100 pounds roughly a year, depending on exactly where you are. So really the point I wanted to bring up is really just, if there are any landlords watching, is, you know, before you actually decide to sell it and get rid of it, review your investment. You know, have a look at the rental amount that your tenants are paying you, and don't be afraid to increase the rent of your property year on year. You know, it will be written into your tenancy agreement that can be done, and obviously legally is something that you're obliged to do. But you know, a good tenant will understand that the market moves, and if you're increasing your rent to a level where it's market rate. Now, if you're greedy and going well over the top, you're going to lose good tenants. But you know, good landlords breed good tenants, and vice versa. So really, you know, also a lot of these landlords, they've not even looked at their mortgage products for years. So, you know, put them in touch with a financial advisor that I recommend. And, you know, they've spoken to them just to see, you know, if there's anything that can be done to better the mortgage product that they're on. Probably not in a lot of cases these days, but I think a lot of it is actually, generally speaking, the rental element that the tenant's paying. So if you're a landlord, you know, and if you know, anyone needs a rental review, all of us at Avocado are quite apt to, you know, helping you with making sure that your rental price is right, so that, you know, inevitably for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that investment actually works for you, and you get the most out of it.
Yeah, I think we had Scott from SWS, who's a mortgage broker, in the office this afternoon, recording a podcast with us. He's come across one or two new products for buy-to-let landlords, one of which, if you're remortgaging your buy-to-let, they will do the survey based on market rent, not the rent that you're collecting from your tenant, to prevent you getting stuck in a mortgage product that you don't want, which is something I've not heard of before. So that was news. And they'll look at top slicing as well. So if you are short on rent, they can take part of your income into account, which can mean you can move mortgage products if you want to move mortgage products, or if you need to, if your current mortgage lenders going from A to Z on the mortgage rates far too quickly, and you need to move banks, then there are options out there, as you quite rightly say, Ollie. It's just about making sure you have that conversation with the mortgage broker. I know whilst interest rates went up today, this week mortgage rates have been falling. So there's obviously some disparity within the money markets about what's right, what should be happening, and where we go for the rest of the year. Hopefully, we've kind of seen the majority of the interest rates that we're going to see, and we're going to see a really level playing field for the rest of the year. But that's my optimism kicking in, I think. I don't know.
I thought they might put it up by more than a quarter today, considering the effect the 0.5% had last time. Because it did have quite an effect on inflation in a positive way, didn't it? I thought they might do it again, bite the bullet, and then we'll start to see it come down a bit by the start of next year. But
allegedly it did. My wife was in Tesco's the other day and spotted that 2 rolls of kitchen roll cost £7.50.
Was it gold?
It wasn't gold.
No? Where are you shopping? Waitrose.
Tesco's. Tesco's in Warfield. If any, I've got a photo.
That's rocket money, isn't it?
We did not return with kitchen roll. So hopefully inflation's under control. But if you produce kitchen roll, and you're listening to the chat, which you know you're probably not, let us know why kitchen roll costs £7.50. We'd love to know. Moving on swiftly from my shopping problems, where do we go for the rest of the year? 3rd of August, this evening as we speak. Worst summer on record, quite frankly. It looks bright out my window, but it's not. Gives us 4 months, working months of the year to go. what's your advice around the table if people are sat on the fence, reading the newspapers, if anyone still does that, watching Good Morning Britain? Where do we go? What do we do? How do we act?
Who's first?
Shoot, I'll go first. If you want to move, there's never a good time. Just if it's the right circumstances and the right property's there for you, go for it. Price yours sensibly. If you're having an estate agent around, don't listen to the one who only tells you good news and positive stories. Who doesn't, is just a yes person. Price your property at the right level. That's what I think will happen for the rest of the year. I think, much as it's been over the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, price it right. There are buyers there, but not in the levels like we were saying. They're not. You won't have an open house. Well, the open houses that I'm doing aren't 30, 40 people anymore. There may be 5 or 10, but those 5 or 10 people all want to buy. They've all checked out their mortgages. They're all good to go. That's what you need to do.
Just saw
We're
that.
going to go live with some advice now. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Not sure if this is the right place to put it. Ellis, yes. 2-bedroom, end of terrace in Sandhurst, baby on the way. This is it. Sat on the fence. I hope the baby's not sat on the fence. I hope you're sat on the fence about moving. Just on a personal level, it's not good parenting.
But that's your personal circumstance. That's when's a good time to buy or move. Well, you need to. That's your personal circumstance. Do it.
I think I had this similar conversation actually with somebody recently. They are just about to falling pregnant. They're trying to, and they've fallen pregnant now whilst we're on the market. And they were going, Dan, do we move now? Do we wait next year once we've had the baby and things like this? And I said, well, reality is you're going to need more space, because they needed more space anyway. So you're going to need it more space now, and you will need it even more in 9 months' time. So if you're financially able to do it, what's holding you back to get it done? And equally, if you're getting a mortgage, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but once the baby's arrived and then you go, there's paternity pay, that could affect your mortgage capability. Also, you've got a dependent you've got to rely on, which means your stress test is more difficult to maybe get the money you want. So theoretically, if you can try and move before a baby has arrived and you're capable, it probably gives you a bit more wiggle room on your mortgages and choices. So I would think if you're sat on the fence, you probably just want to give it a go. I don't think the market's going to change too much at all the rest of this year. I don't think it's going to change too much at all next year, unless we start to see a rapid decrease in interest rates, which is probably not going to happen. It'll probably flatten out and maybe start to drop a bit by the end of the year. So I think if you move now, and based on if you move in January, it's probably going to be very similar. So it's more about when do you want to be in your house?
Yeah,
it takes,
it's relative, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes 4 months at the moment, roughly speaking. Still, I'd say from at least when you market the home to moving into a new one, at least. So you're looking at almost Christmas time now. If you're listing now, you're coming up to that.
Yeah. So depending on location, our fastest agent is going from listing to completion on average in 125 days at the moment. And that's an average. So obviously it does go faster than that if you want it to. Ollie, father of 2 girls. If this is Ellis's first child, how much space does he need?
Well, loads. yeah. Well, I mean, when we had our first, we were in a 1-bed flat, and we thought, we'll try and eke this out for as long as we can before we move. But yeah, it was no time at all. And our 1-bed flat. I mean, I know a lot of the 2 beds in Sandhurst. It was a whopper. We had loads of space, but still, you need to get on and obviously get all that extra storage for all the plastic that they inevitably end up with,
the invasion of brightly coloured plastic is unreal.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my youngest has just turned 3, so we're starting to see a lot of the big clunky stuff go now. So I sort of feel like I'm getting my garden and my living room back a bit, but it's not long until they want all the doll houses and things like that, So first on a boy. Okay, there we go, Ellis. So you'll just have a load of footballs knocking around then, basically, mate.
You still get a lot of plastic, trust me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So you get plastic either way. There's no other way about it. But thanks for your question. It does really sort of make a really good point to it. The one thing I would add to that is if house prices have eroded, which they have, there's no way about it. House prices aren't as high as they were last year. It's actually cheaper to upsize than it was this time last year, because if you knock 5% off the value of a 2-bed and you knock 5% off the value of the equivalent 3-bed, well, you've closed the gap slightly. So it's actually, whilst it feels bad that maybe you could have sold your house for more last year, well, you're actually in a better position than you were. So as long as you've got equity in your property, which in the sort of Berkshire, North Hants area, you will do if you bought the house more than 3 years ago, then you're in a really good place to do it. And if we can help, we'd absolutely love to.
Market's hot for 2-bed houses, by the way, so they probably haven't dropped as much in value as some of the mid-range stuff. That it is a hot market for those. There's a lot of buyers for them. That's what I'm seeing anyway.
You've just put the pressure on Will and Mike.
They're fine. They're legends.
And the conversation I'm having with a lot of first-time buyers or people that are looking to move at the moment is, the way that I see it is that you're much better off moving now, because house prices, as we say, have eroded. The market is, values aren't maybe what they were. So even though you might be paying a bit more on a percentage on your mortgage, on your interest, you're probably better off paying that slightly higher interest level on the values of today's properties, rather than waiting for the market to get back on its feet. Because all that's going to happen is house prices are going to shoot up again. So you're actually going to be paying, you're better paying a couple of % on what we're paying now, rather than paying less on a much higher, maybe it could be 50, 75, 100,000 pounds on the next house when things, gets back to that, sort of normality, as we might see. So, I really don't think there should be any despair or any fence sitting at the moment. Like you said at the beginning, Mike, there's no such thing as a bad market. It's just a market, and you've just got to work within it,
So, you touched on pricing there. Dan, you've been out to see a house today in and around the £1 million mark, and you wanted to make a comment on how price marketing will frankly make or break the super important 2-week window. Because if you're going to sell your house at the moment, sell it in the first 2 weeks. That's my thoughts on it. How house pricing will massively affect whether you get a buyer at the best price or you have to reduce and then chase that market.
100%. And to those listening, I believe this works at every single point through the pricing. So whether it's from 100 grand upwards, it works everywhere. On Rightmove and Zoopla, they use the same format on how they do their breakpoints. So goes up in 10,000s, then 25,000s, then 50,000s, and then higher up the ladder it goes up in huge amounts like 250,000. But sometimes you can't do it if you're sat completely in between. I get that, but you want to be on the barrier if possible, because you're going to get people looking up to that figure and from that figure. And the point I was making earlier, which I thought was crazy, within half a mile of the property we were valuing, there was about 6 or 7 properties sold within a similar value. The 3 that were still on the market I don't believe was because they're poor houses and they're around £1 million. They look good, so on and so forth. But they were all marketed, these 3. One was at like £1,050,000. One was £1,025,000. Why? Because you're just competing with people who are marketing their home up to 1.25 million, and your house isn't. That's 250,000. It's a big gap. You put it on at $1 million, and you will get the right interest. And it's the same with everything. So I don't believe in marketing high to work your price down. It's so negative. So if your house is worth 350, put it on at 350. Don't put it on at 365 in between, because you're going to get less interest, less people see it, and you're not going to get the offers. So I think where you can be on that barrier, I think you're going to get so much more interest.
Can we start a petition to kill off 599,950?
It doesn't work.
Right here, right now. If there's any agents on the chat, please just give me a thumbs up or something that we all just collectively stop it.
Just put it at 600.
It will do everyone a favour.
Better for everyone, for the clients, for the marketing, for people viewing their homes. I think we have a big part in playing in making prices clearer to people who want to buy it, and I think that's probably a reason why. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure Rightmove and them so forth have stopped or will be stopping that price on application, so you can't hide the price.
Yeah,
which was just a load of rubbish anyway. So I think they're trying to streamline the way we advertise homes, and we need to lead that way by making sure we've got a fair price point at the right price and barrier it correctly.
Yeah. I'm sure there's properties for sale within Avocado which are that 950. So that's pointing in internally as well. Let's just kill off the 950.
100%. It's yeah. No one's perfect. It's just my opinion on how we should market those homes.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. You'll get more eyes on it if you price at the right at the round number. And yeah, if you put yourself at the bottom of a price brand, all people are going to do is compare your property with something that's better. And you won't get the interest because people won't be excited about looking at it. It is just the way it is. It's pure and simple. It's how people search for properties. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
So 6:36. Thanks for joining us. Everyone who's commented tonight, really appreciate it because it really makes our chats interesting. Luke, who messaged earlier, I have seen your message. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message about what you do because I want to know. And we'll see you all again, same time, Thursday, 6 o'clock next week.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.